Perfect. Perfect.
So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology 2018 iPad now. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because the 2018 iPad will be on sale for Black Friday at Walmart for $250, Target for $250, as well as Costco for $250. Now, if you're not in America, I'm not sure what kind of deals you're getting on this right now. Let us know down below in the comment section, but this one has a huge sale going on this Friday. So I wanted to revisit this product right here. This is the 6th generation iPad, the one that does support Apple Pencil, well, at least the last gen Apple Pencil, not the new one from the Pro. Okay, guys, so let's talk about the key specs that matter here with the 2018 iPad 9.7. You get a 9.7 inch Retina display that's LCD with 264 pixels per inch, so pretty sharp here. On the rear, we have ourselves an 8 megapixel camera capable up to 1080p video recording, 2 gigabytes of RAM, and an Apple A10 Fusion quad-core chipset, and an 8827 milliamp hour battery at 32.4 watt hours, so 10 hours of battery life on this iPad. And of course, the big deal with this one is the cheaper iPad does support Apple Pencil here. So if you want an iPad that's under $300, get the Apple Pencil for $100 at $350 for Black Friday. You can have a full drawing tablet here. You're going to get only 32 gigabytes of storage with the starting price though. So let's talk about my feelings on that display right now. Now, that display is not laminated on this iPad, but it does get plenty bright enough for most circumstances, and it does feel a little bit hollow compared to the other iPads, but still, it's a really good display for this price point, and pretty much nothing in this range of price is going to beat this iPad display, I'm telling you right now. So let me go to Safari here, and if we are reading, for example, about this iPad, there's also no notches or anything like that, and there's been no notches on no iPads, but this is a pretty easy reading experience. Now, for the one with the white bezels, you're going to want to read in the white background as it'll blend more into the tablet, and iOS tends to prefer a white theme, so the white kind of goes well with iOS. But if you like to read and you want everything to blend, or you like to watch movies, you might want to get the one with the black bezels, which would be the space gray model. So overall, reading is great on here. No true tone, which adjusts the ambient lighting, but that's not really necessary. If you put on night shift and you put it really low, it could kind of almost look a little bit like true tone. Not quite the same. It does take away the blue light and it might make you a little bit tired, but night shift is there. Overall, pinch to zoom, very smooth on this display, very good scrolling as well. And when it comes to the Apple Pencil, the smoothness on this Apple Pencil is almost identical to the ones on the iPad Pro. So if you are drawing, for example, things aren't going to be much of a problem at all for you. So, you know, this iPad definitely does give you quite a bit of functionality when it comes to the display, although the design of the display is definitely older now and looks a little bit dated compared to the new ones. If you're not comparing it side by side, you probably won't even care, as you'll just be enjoying the content you're consuming on this display. Viewing angles are pretty good. They're not quite as great as something you would see on an OLED screen, for example, but they're not bad, and that classic iPad smooth rotation is there as well for this display. So very good display overall for this price point. I've had no issues with it since its launch date. Okay, guys, so when it comes to security and biometrics, it's pretty straightforward. It's a passcode or Touch ID. Now, considering that the new iPads do have Face ID, this definitely feels a little bit older than those. However, if you think about it, Apple just released a new MacBook Air with Touch ID. So Touch ID is still around in the Apple product lineup. So it's not like it's some old technology. It still works very well, and a lot of people do prefer it. So I do like Touch ID on here. And if you're used to any Apple product before, you haven't updated to any phone or tablet with Face ID, you won't even care. And it does work well. Okay, so when it comes to software, this is running iOS, and people have been questioning whether Apple should release a separate iPad operating system. But I think for the $250 iPad, it works just fine, although it's hard for education to compete with Chromebooks, or Apple to compete in the education space with Chromebooks, because it doesn't have a dedicated keyboard right out of the box, and it doesn't have, you know, full desktop browser. Safari is a mobile browser still here for the iPad, which means it's just a bigger version of the one you can find on your smartphone. So I would like to see more desktop-like functionality in future iOS versions. But for now, you do have gestures just like you would have on the iPhone, for example. And you could go ahead and swipe from the bottom now. You couldn't do this before, but this is all new here in iOS 12. So very smooth. And you can also go ahead and kind of go like this to swipe through the applications. Now you don't have the bar at the bottom to go ahead and swipe through, so you have to do a little bit up and to the right here for this iPad, but it still works very smoothly for this device, and all the old gestures where you can four-finger swipe across through applications are still here. So this iPad does have split screen functionality, but it's only supported in mostly the Apple apps, and some applications in the App Store do support this, but not all of them do. A lot of your mainstream apps should though, productivity-based applications, but sometimes you can go ahead and bring in, like say we want to bring in Safari, it's going to go ahead and right into that application or right into that application like so. So you do have two side by side. Now, this is actually quite useful if you do multitasking for your iPad. So that's about one of the best features on this iPad for software. Let's not forget you have some amazing app polish on this App Store for this iPad, as well as the access to iMovie for free on the App Store. You also have things like Luma Fusion if you want to do more pro video editing on here. And yes, with that A10 Fusion chip and 2 gigs of RAM, it might take a little bit longer, but this can get the job done if you want to get started in video editing on your iPad. This can actually work quite well for you. So this is a pretty powerful little tablet for the price point. Okay, so when it comes to performance, my feelings on this are, this is the 7 Plus of iPads. The scores are about identical with that device, and the 7 Plus and iPhone 7 were no slow phones. So this one is pretty quick itself, and I don't care what anybody says. Those newer iPhones, those newer iPads, I've experienced all of them. As a matter of fact, I'm rocking the iPhone XS Max today, and any Apple product that has an A9 or above kind of feels pretty similar in performance. These iPads, these iPhones, they've been fast for a long time. So you're not really going to notice too much of a difference between this and even the brand new 2018 iPad Pro, unless you're looking for that ProMotion smooth feel. But if you get over that and you just focus on the experience, they're all opening apps at about the same time. They're all running them very smooth, mostly because Apple controls the hardware and the software. So for this money, you're getting really good performance here, even though the A10 Fusion chip is a couple years old. I'm very happy with the performance of the Apple Pencil and the iPad itself. It runs fast and efficient. So what is my take on the battery life? Well, all iPads, first of all, get good battery life. But this one with an 8827 milliamp hour battery and not having the most power on iPad and a smaller screen than maybe like a 12.9, I'm actually seeing better battery life on this iPad than I'm seeing on something like a 12.9, because this one has a smaller screen, less pixels to push. I'm getting about 11 hours to be upfront with you for this iPad. That's my feelings on it. There's not much to say about it. When it's good, you don't even really think about it. So there you go for the iPad when it comes to battery life. Okay, so when it comes to the camera, here's an area where Apple does make some cuts on the smaller iPad. It doesn't give you flash on the camera, so you can't use this iPad as a flashlight unless you brighten up the screen all white and then use the front panel as a flashlight. The camera performance itself is not bad either. It's actually a pretty solid camera for just taking some family photos and some pictures around the house. I definitely wouldn't take this out for my main camera, but the video recording quality at 1080p is not bad either. Although you can't go into 60, you can't go into 4K. Now the front camera is even worse than the rear camera at 1.2 megapixels, so it's going to be pretty noisy, grainy selfies on this camera. 1080p on the front, but it can do stereo sound recording for the main camera, and it does have HDR, although not smart HDR that you're going to see on the newer iPads. And when it comes to the software, you just slide through video, slow-mo, time-lapse, pretty straightforward, easy to use software here on the iPad. So overall, the camera is not my favorite area of this iPad, but I don't really care about how great an iPad camera is, because most of us have a smartphone and we buy an iPad as a secondary device, and most of us are not going to be using an iPad for a camera. So this one is acceptable, even though it's not amazing for this iPad. Take a look at some of these samples I took around the house. You could kind of decide if this is going to be a decent camera for you.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so when it comes to the audio performance, so what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 7 now. So in this video, you can see it has stereo sound. So if you do cover one speaker, the other one will still fire. If you cover this one will still fire. So you might get a little bit muffled sound if you put your hand over here sometimes, but it's not going to totally disrupt the audio. See, because of the stereo sound. However, it's not 4 speakers. So over here, there's no speakers on this iPad. You do get a headphone jack, which you don't get in the new iPads though. And another thing is these black bars are going to be very prevalent due to the aspect ratio on this iPad being 4:3. So for an $80 discount for Black Friday, and this one being $329 to start, even after that, that's still not that, much to enter into this iPad ecosystem. If you want to get the 128 gigs, expect to pay another $80 to $100 for that device, maybe even more when it goes back to standard pricing. But in conclusion, you've seen that I'm pretty positive about this iPad as I was when it first came out. It's not a breakthrough design. It's a classic standard iPad, a recycled design that they've used before. But the thing is that for the price point, you have the best iPad value you've ever had because it has Apple Pencil support and you don't have to pay iPad Pro prices. In addition to that, seeing as we don't use our cameras on our iPads all that often, I'm not saying everybody, so if you're that one individual who does, consider the iPad Pro. The fact is, this is going to be a great standard tablet. It has all the same features and the gestures that come from iOS 12. So it's a really nice experience on this iPad, and I think it's going to make a great gift for anyone who does decide to pick one up if you don't care about having the latest and greatest design with the less bezels for that device. So that's the iPad 2018 now. If you guys found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, enjoying in any way, shape, and form, do me a great favor, click that like button for me. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'm taking them down below. I will catch you all in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch you all in the next episode. Be sure to be well. Nick here, and peace.